Hey, y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family.
Echo. I love a podcast.
Plus, Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo. Hey, Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is my pet squirrel.
Okay, now,
Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
That's where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
I want to take just a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on this podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you'll find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more. The Bible Study Podcast, episode 981. Today, the Bible Study Podcast continues the study of Exodus with chapter 22. Welcome to the Bible Study Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. We're going through this 4-chapter section on laws that are being set up for the Jewish people, and we'll continue that after a word from this sponsor.
Let's be honest. Ever read a passage and wondered what it really means in its original context? True Bible study isn't just casual reading. It's about connecting historical background, cross-references, and themes. If you've ever felt like navigating all of this is too difficult, you need to check out Logos. Logos is a game-changing platform that equips you to explore hard questions with absolute confidence, knowing you're drawing from reliable, well-respected academic resources. Whether you're at your desk or on the go, Logos helps you follow that path of discovery naturally. With their new AI tools, you can ask Logos any biblical question and get trusted answers from a biblical library. To help you dive into the layers of meaning in the Word, Logos is offering my listeners an exclusive free 60-day trial. Just go to logos.com/deep. That's LOGOS.com/deep to claim your free 60-day trial. So stop guessing and start going deeper together.
Have you ever prayed and felt like God was silent? Bible League International created a free devotional called What to Do When God Seems Silent, a 7-day journey of faith, hope, and healing. This short devotional walks you through scripture and gives encouragement to help you trust God, even in seasons when you're struggling to hear his voice. If you're going through a difficult time or simply need spiritual refreshing, this resource can help you reconnect with God's truth. To download it for free, text Nicole to 94878. That's Nicole to 94878.
Exodus 22. This time we get property laws. Protection of property. Whoever steals an ox or sheep and slaughters it and sells it must pay back 5 head of cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in at night and is struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happens after sunrise, the defender is guilty of bloodshed. Anyone who steals must certainly make restitution, but if they have nothing, they must be sold to pay for their theft. If the stolen animal is found alive in their possession, whether ox or donkey or sheep, they must pay back double. If anyone grazes their livestock in a field or vineyard and lets them stray and they graze in someone else's field, the offender must make restitution from the best of their own field or vineyard. If a fire breaks out and spreads into thorn bushes so that it burns shocks of grain or standing grain or the whole field, the one who started the fire must make restitution. If anyone gives a neighbor silver or goods for safekeeping and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thief, if caught, must pay back double. But if the thief is not found, the owner of the house must appear before the judges, and they must determine whether the owner of the house has laid hands on the other person's property. In all cases of illegal possession of an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment, or any other lost property about which someone says, "This is mine," both parties are to bring their cases before the judges. The one whom the judges declare guilty must pay back double to the other. If anyone gives a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any other animal to their neighbor for safekeeping, and it dies or is injured or is taken away while no one is looking, the issue between them will be settled by taking an oath before the Lord that the neighbor did not lay hands on the other person's property. The owner is to accept this, and no restitution is required. But if the animal was stolen from the neighbor, restitution must be made to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by a wild animal, the neighbor shall bring in the remnants as evidence and shall not be required to pay for the torn animal. If anyone borrows an animal from the neighbor and it is injured or dies while the owner is not present, they must make restitution. But if the owner is with the animal, the borrower will not have to pay. If the animal was hired, the money paid for the hire covers the loss. Okay, so notice when we talk about property laws, we're talking about a people who right now have no land, no buildings, and what they have is sheep and goats and oxen and cattle. So most of the property laws here are applying to those things, which is what they need right now. Although the vineyard thing, we're going to get to that, right? We're going to get to the promised land, and then we'll have to worry about the vineyard and the fields and those things. But first they need to know what happens if I want to breed my bull and I borrow your cow, or I want to breed my cow and I borrow your bull, and the bull dies, and all of those sorts of deals. The general thing here is if something is stolen, you give it back double, right? Or 5 times head of cattle. Basically, you have to make restitution. We're not going to cut off your hand. We're not going to kill you or anything like that. But if you steal something, you have to pay back and then some so that you don't steal again. The same idea we have here is you want there to be disincentive for stealing. And if you don't have money to pay it back, that's how we talked about people can become a slave. So, and then there's rules and details here, but in general, the rules are about who is responsible. If you kill a thief who comes into your house, but it's dark, then you're not held guilty. But if it's light, then you are held guilty because they don't deserve death, and you could have prevented it because you could see what's going on. It's different. There's a different level of responsibility in these rules for what I can see and know versus the things I can't see and know. Again, we have similar sorts of things in our laws. So restitutions, if I accidentally set your field on fire, you get access to my field. All those sorts of things make sense. It's trying to be fair. It's trying to be just. And then the whole thing with if I give you my goods and they get stolen, well, if we find the thief, then we deal with the thief in the normal fashion. But if we don't find the thief, did I steal your goods? Then we're going to have to talk to the judges. And judges are going to figure out everything that isn't clear here and all the specific cases. And it's one of the reasons why we have all provisions in the Bible, especially in the prophets, against false judges, people who are putting their thumb on the scale, people who are being more favorable to their friends, for instance, or to people who give them money. That is a perversion of justice and something that is not mentioned here, but will be mentioned elsewhere. I'm going to go on to social responsibility. And these are going to get interesting. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price and she will be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price for virgins. Do not allow a sorceress to live. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any other god than the Lord must be destroyed. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword. Your wives will become widows and your children fatherless. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not treat it like a business deal. Charge no interest. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it by sunset, because the cloak is the only covering your neighbor has. What else can they sleep in? When they cry out to me, I will hear it, for I am compassionate. Do not blaspheme God or curse the ruler of your people. Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me on the 8th day. You are to be my holy people. Do not eat the meat of an animal torn by wild beasts. Throw it to the dogs. Okay, this is a potpourri of rules here. The first one is, I have to say, we got a patriarchal society, and it makes me uncomfortable too. But this rule here about a man seduces a virgin who is pledged to be married, there is a bride price, a dowry, and he has to pay it, and he has to take her as his wife. Because her position in the society, and this is true with all their neighbors too, this is not just an Israelite thing here, would be compromised by that seduction. And so her position has to be restored as a wife where she is held in the same esteem as some other wife, because it's a really big thing that she is a virgin when she's married. So that's the context of this. Do not allow a sorceress to live. It's interesting. It doesn't say sorcerer. I think it's just that there were more sorceresses than sorcerers, but I don't know. But basically, people who are using dark arts, who are calling on powers other than God. So basically, those powers are demonic in nature, and so we're going to have none of that here within the Israel people. Don't sleep with animals. Okay. Don't sacrifice to other gods. Again, that's going to come up again and again and again and again and again. And don't mistreat foreigners because you were a foreigner. Again, that whole, I brought you out of slavery. And then it was interesting, don't take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. And this one was like, or my anger will be aroused and your wives will become widows and your children fatherless. God really cares about this. What do we do with our power to those who have no power? And when you see the widow and the fatherless, think of people who are powerless. And then if you lend money, you're not supposed to charge interest. And then I like this whole thing with, if you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it by sunset. So basically think of your neighbor. If you take something from your poor neighbor as a pledge against the money they owe you, is it something they need to live on? You can't just keep it. There's more to this than just justice. There is compassion in it. Do not blaspheme God or curse the rule of your people. Do not hold back offerings. Yeah. So all of these are, how are we going to live in this new society that we're building? And then the firstborn, we've already talked about that all of the firstborn of the cattle and the sons have to be redeemed with an offering, because God passed over the firstborn of Israel in the Passover. Don't eat roadkill. Don't eat the meat of an animal torn by wild beasts. Again, all of these are in, I'm going to call it the Levitical law, even though they appear here in Exodus. But again, as we started this section, I will remind you every once in a while here that back in the Council of Jerusalem, when it was decided that Christians didn't have to be Jewish, we also then weren't held to these rules. We'll talk more about that as we go into the book of Leviticus. With that, we're going to end this episode of the Bible Study Podcast. I'll have to say this is not going to be my favorite section of Exodus, but we've got, I think, 2 more chapters of this before we move on. With that, we're going to end this episode of the Bible Study Podcast. If you have any questions, send an email to chris2x@gmail.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at thebiblestudypodcast.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. I want to take just a second to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on this podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you'll find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and more.
Looking for inspiration and uplifting stories of faith? Welcome to the Jesus Calling Stories of Faith podcast, now available on Life Audio. Join us each week for heartfelt conversations and personal stories from people from all walks of life that will inspire you and lift your spirit. Whether you're seeking comfort, motivation, or just a moment of peace, the Jesus Calling Stories of Faith podcast offers a beautiful reminder of faith and hope. Listen to the Jesus Calling Stories of Faith podcast on lifeaudio.com or wherever you find your podcasts.
I'm Mark Vinette. host of the Historical Jesus podcast, which presents the new series, Miracles, focusing on biblical miracles from the Old and New Testament. Join me on the Historical Jesus podcast as I explore the interesting, compelling, intriguing, and wonderful miracle stories of the Bible and the many great miraculous events inspired by the words and deeds of Jesus Christ.